This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I've just started sharing my screen. Let me know if you're able to view. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah. Since
Yes, I
today's
can
first
see.
part, we'll go through the PPT and then some of the theoretical part. Now, success factors. You must have heard that success factors is a cloud computing application. Now, what do you mean by cloud computing application, and how different is it from the on-premise application? Any clues? Any idea? Cloud computing application. Now, the concept of working, the concept of the application remains same, be it the on-premise application or the cloud computing application. Both, all of them are just an application to use. Okay. Now, the only difference between the cloud computing application and the on-premise application is in cloud computing application, we don't see the server. Okay. Now, first of all, how how are these applications running? No, you must have heard about the applications like SAP or Oracle or any Java product or any Ramco HCM payroll or Workday. So these are all the HRIS applications, human resource information system applications. Okay. Now, the main concept or how do these applications run is basically you'll have three different layers. The first layer being your infrastructure. These are called servers, infrastructure or servers. Now, for any application to run, firstly, what do we need? We need some space. Now, let's take an example of any application that is being installed in your mobiles. Okay, now let's take a Facebook or a WhatsApp. If you have to install that application into your mobile, the first thing that you need is the space, right? You should have that enough space. Now, if you want to install a gaming application, if it is going to occupy 1 GB of space in your mobile, now you should need that 1 GB space, free space in your mobile, right? That's the infrastructure. Now, the second layer is your platform. Second layer is your platform. Now, what do you mean by platform? Now, if you take an example of mobile itself, you have Samsung mobiles, you have LG mobiles, and then you have Apple mobiles. Now, the platform that Samsung mobiles is using is Android, whereas the Apple phones they are using iOS as the platform. That means the platform in which that application, can we use the application which is developed on Android for Apple mobiles? No, because the platform that the iPhones use is the iOS, whereas the Android phones is the Android. So even if the application like Facebook in Samsung and Facebook and in Apple, both the applications are same, but they they are developed on a different platform for different mobiles. Now, the Facebook application to use iPhones, you have to have the application developed in iOS. Yeah, any doubts? I think somebody's
That's fine. Okay.
yeah. Okay, okay. You can interrupt maybe if you have any doubts. Okay. Now, both of them are the Facebook application that is to be used in iPhones are to be developed in iOS. We cannot use the application which is developed in Android in iOS applications, right? So that is called the platform. And then you have the finally the application. Now, application can be anything like your Facebook or a WhatsApp or a gaming application or Gmail and so on. Now, a difference between the cloud computing application. Now, both of these applications, cloud or on-premise. Both of them, the concept is same. If you should have an infrastructure, you should have platform, then you should have an application. Now the difference is the cloud computing applications, servers are hosted remotely and you need internet to store, manage and process that rather than a local server or a local computer. Okay. Now, if you need any if you have to work on any on-premise application, now what happens is you should have a server and your laptop or your PC needs to be connected to that server. Sometimes your laptop or a personal computer itself becomes a server. Okay, then you'll be working straightly on of how the example can be your SAP installed SAP installed in your laptop or in your PC to practice. So in that case, your PC is a server. Your PC is acting as a server and as a final the application where you're using it. Okay. Whereas in cloud computing, these servers are hosted somewhere in the internet, and all the data that we are accessing, or all the data that we are managing, or all the data that we are processing, that is going and sitting in that server, which is somewhere in the cloud. Now, let's take an example how these applications are set up in on-premise. Now, you're working for one of the client, okay, and your client is using on-premise no application. Now, what happens is they'll be installing this server in in their own premise. Now, if your client is located at Mumbai or Delhi, okay, now they'll have their server installed in Mumbai or Delhi. Now, all the systems that you will be using, okay, are connected to that server. Okay, now I am a HR executive. I have my own PC, that is company's PC. I'm working on that PC, and the HRIS application is installed in it, be it SAP or Oracle. It is installed in that system. Now today I have had 10 employees. Okay, now today hired 10 employees and I have maintained some data for the existing employees. But today my laptop or my personal computer got crashed. And if I have to use somebody else's laptop or somebody else's PC, will I be able to see those employees' data? Yes or no? Since
Yes.
yeah. Now, how are you able to see those employees' data? Because you have hired the 10 employees in the system in your own PC. But now you're not accessing your own PC, or you're accessing somebody else's PC. How are you able to how will you see those employees' data? Because the data what you have stored or what you have maintained, okay, it is not saved in your PC. It is saved in server, of which is connected to the server. Your PC is connected to your server through local area network, or you must be using VPN to access that server. Now, tomorrow you use some other system. There you hire some other 10 employees. Okay. Now, will you be able to see those employees' data in your PC? Yes, because though you are using the PC to manage the data, it is getting stored in the same server, and all your PCs in the office are connected to one server. Now, the same thing here in cloud, the data is getting stored somewhere in the servers which are hosted in internet. Okay. Now you don't see the server. Now you don't need any connectivity here, not a local area network or a VPN. You just need the internet to access the application that is stored somewhere in the or that is hosted somewhere in the internet. Now, how will you be accessing these applications? You will be accessing these applications using the URL. Now, you can also use this application in your mobiles, okay, either with Google Chrome or Internet Explorer or any other browser, or you can also install the application in your mobile. Now, it is same like your Gmail. Now, to access the mails, what you're doing is you're installing the Gmail app in your mobile. And every time you want to check your mails, you don't have to go to browser and then type gmail.com and then go your input your user ID and password and then check mails or send mails. No, you can access the Gmail application using the app. Okay, you install the app, you open the app. Now, once you save your user ID and password, every time you don't have to key in your user ID and password in your mobile. Directly, you can open the application, check the mail, check your mails, and send your mails. Now, similarly, you can also install the SuccessFactors application in your mobile and access, or if you want to do some activities in that application, you do that in your from your mobile as well. Or you can also log into the application through browser where you have to key in the URL, user ID, and password. Is that clear? Now, as per these layers, like infrastructure, platform, and application. Now, there are three types of cloud service models. There are three types of cloud service models: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. There are three types of cloud service models: IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. Now, in IaaS, only the infrastructure is provided. Only the infrastructure is provided. That means we are just subscribing for some space. You're not going to use any application. You're just subscribing for the space. That is called infrastructure as a service. Now, the examples can be your Amazon Web Services, okay, where you'll be getting the server, only the space. Now you can have your own application developed in your own platform. Now that platform can be anything. Now the second is platform as a service, where you'll be getting both the platform and the infrastructure. You'll be getting both platform and infrastructure. You have to develop your own application. Now the example can be your Salesforce.com. Now, have you heard about Salesforce? Salesforce is an application which is developed on platform force.com. Now, you can have your own application developed in force.com. Similar to Salesforce or similar to SuccessFactors, you can develop your own application. The third is your software as a service. Now, here the application is pre-built and then you can start using the application. If you have subscribed for software as a service, the example can be your SuccessFactors, Salesforce, or a Workday. These are all your software as a service. The application is pre-built. You subscribe for that application and you start using that application. Okay, that is called software as a service. And the examples of each of them are for IaaS, it is Amazon Web Services or VMware. And for PaaS, platform as a service, it is Windows Azure, Force.com, or Google Apps Engine. These are all the platforms. And then software as a service, it can be your Salesforce, Dropbox, SuccessFactors, can be anything. Is that clear, Nidhi?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, what are the benefits of using the cloud computing application? why should somebody go for cloud computing application? Okay, or what are the advantages of using cloud computing applications? Okay, now firstly, since the servers are hosted remotely and you just need the URL to log in or the application to log in, you can work from anywhere. Maybe your client is sitting maybe your client is sitting somewhere in US and you're in UK or Australia or in India, but still you can access your client system. You can work from anywhere. It is called productivity anywhere. You don't have to be in client location to access those applications. You can be in you can sit anywhere around the world and you can access the client's application through internet. That is productivity anywhere. Secondly, you can still access the on-premise applications also, but you need the VPN. If VPN is set up, you can use your client application even for the on-premise. But for cloud computing applications, we don't need any VMware. You can directly access through URL. Okay. Now, off-site data storage. Data is not stored in your local server. Data is stored in the servers hosted in the internet. Now, you will still have these servers, but you won't see the server physically. Then no IT maintenance cost. Third is no IT maintenance cost because you are not maintaining the servers. You don't need to hire people to look after servers. If you have to upgrade your servers, you don't need any no for IT people, or you have to spend money on the infrastructure. You don't have to procure server. Now for on-premise application, you have to procure servers. You have to hire people to look after that server. Okay. Now all the maintenance part, it is your responsibility. Whereas in cloud computing application, since you are not procuring server, you don't have to hire people. You don't have to spend money on the servers. Disaster assistance. Now in on-premise applications, if something happens to your server, it is the responsibility of your IT team to look after that. But whereas in cloud computing application, you don't have to worry about the disasters. It is managed or it is maintained by SAP or the cloud service. Okay, always up and running, and because of this, you don't have to spend much money on it. Lower cost of ownership, cheaper than the on-premise application, and then easily upgraded. Now, every application once installed may need some upgrades. Now, even if you look at your mobile, you'll be getting your upgrades in the system. Now, once in a while, your system asks you whether to upgrade. Okay, please connect it to internet to upgrade your software. Right. Now, similarly, your success factors application is also upgraded. Okay, every quarter. Success factors upgrades the product every quarter with new features, or sometimes it is the notable fixed also. Notable issues are fixed. Now, if SAP or SuccessFactors has identified some issues in the product, they have to fix it, right? And these fixes are done in the upgrades. Now, upgrades may contain the fixes or the new functionalities or the enhancements in the existing functionality. Okay, that clear, Nidhi?
Yes.
Now, what is success factors? Now, that is about the cloud computing application. It is any, it can be any application. But what is success factors? Success factors, if you look at success factors as a company, it's an SAP company, leading provider of cloud-based business execution software. And if you look at the success factors as a product, it is a cloud-based HRIS system, human resource information system, mostly used by the employees of the organizations or HRs of the organization. Okay, now it is designed specifically to meet needs in enterprise class organizations. Now, why do we use success factors application? Any employee. I'm an employee of an organization. Why do I need success factor application? Because if I have to apply leave, if I have to look at my payslip, if I have to look at my personal information or my no job information, I need some application. So I'm using success factors as the HRS application. Now, what a HR does in success factors? Now, HRs will be hiring the employees or maintaining the data of the employees in success factors. We have various modules in success factors, okay, like performance management, compensation management, learning management, recruitment, onboarding, employee central, see, employee central time off, employee central payroll, reporting, jam. So these are all the modules within success factor. Now, employee central being the core module of success factors. Okay, because we we maintain the employees data in employee central. Now, where are you getting the employee data in performance management? Now, if you have to do appraisal, now the appraisal form has to be routed to manager. How the particular form is being routed to that manager? Because this data is maintained in employee central and pushed to all the modules. Now, all these modules are interconnected. Now, the recruiters using the positions or using the requisitions that are created in Employee Central. The positions are created in Employee Central and pushed to recruitment, and recruiters start hiring the candidates using those requisitions or positions. So that means there is some connectivity between these modules. Employee data, whatever the employee data that we store in Employee Central, we can access that data in performance management as well, or in recruitment as well, or in compensation as well, because these modules are interconnected. Okay. Now, what is Employee Central? Employee Central maintains all your employee information, both your employee information and organizational information. When I say employees information, it is employees' personal information like the first name, last name, gender, date of birth, national IDs or address of the employee, education of the employee, previous experience of the employee. This is all employees data. When I say organizational information, employees working for a company, which company the employee is working? Employees working in one of the departments. In which department? HR, finance, sales, marketing, purchase, IT. In which department is he working? Which business unit or division, or where exactly the employee is working in? The location. Now, the client is operating from multiple locations. So, where exactly the employee is placed? Okay, employee must be reporting to a manager, right? So, these are all your organizational information. What position the employee is holding? Or what is the designation of the employee? What is the grade of the employee? What are the salary details of the employee? These are all organizational information. Okay, and this information we maintain Employee Central. Okay, that's about your basics of the cloud computing. Okay, now to run this application, to run SuccessFactors application, you need the internet and you need the URL of the application and your user ID and password. Every user in the organization will have their own user ID and password, and they can log into the application. They see the data of the employees, they can see their own data, they can see others data. To some extent they can also see some others data. Like if I am an employee, I log into the application, I look at my own payslip, but I cannot look at somebody else's payslip. I cannot look at my colleague's payslip because it's his personal data. Okay, now how I am logging in? I'm logging in using either using the application installed in the mobile or through URL in PC or in laptop or in or desktop or in mobile or in tablet. But wherever I log in, I see the same information what is stored for me. Apply for leaves, I can look at others' data as well. Now I cannot view or I can look at others, pays or others' bank details or others' compensation information, but I can see to whom they are reporting. Okay, where exactly they are working. I can see some information. Again, this is controlled by the security. What information is to be visible for other employees. Now, I am an employee. I look at my own data. I can also edit my own data. Now, my first name and last name, my date of birth, or no, my personal details, I can go and edit because it's my data. Now, if I feel that my first name is wrong, I have to correct it. So I should be able to edit it. At the same time, I cannot edit somebody else's data. So that is controlled through security. We'll see how to do that. Now, that's as an employee. Now, I am the manager and there are some people who are reporting to me. Now, I should be able to, now, firstly, I'm an employee of the organization. Before manager, I'm an employee. So I can look at my own data. I can edit my own data. Now, I'm also a manager for some reportees. So I can look at my reportees data, and if I have to do some action for my employees. Now, if I have to recommend salary increase, if I have to recommend promotion, or if I have to approve the leaves of the employee, my direct reports, I should be able to do. So I will have some additional access to the system. Employee may not edit others' data, but manager can edit their direct reports data. Right. Manager should be able to edit or approve the employee's data. So that's a role of a manager. And then HR. HR is also an employee of the organization. Before HR, he is an employee. He or she is an employee. Okay. And that HR is a manager. He has got some reportees. So he will edit the direct reports data as well. And coming to the role, the employee is HR manager. Now, what are the duties of a HR manager? Maybe he or she has to hire the employees, transfer the employees, promote the employees, terminate the employees, suspend the employees. These are all the duties of the HR. So they should need some additional access more than a manager or more than an employee. Right. For all these activities, this HRIS application success factors is used. Okay. Now let's look at the landscape. Okay. First thing we'll see is the landscape. Now, for any client, if we have to implement success factors, okay, if we have to implement success factors, you don't directly do in the production system or the system where your client is going to use. The general process is we, while implementing success factors application, we have to do the configuration. Now, you must be thinking success factors is a software as a service application where we have discussed that the application is pre-built, right? Then what do we have to do as a consultant? What is our role in implementation or in configuration? So what will we be doing? Oh, yes, the application is pre-built, okay, but application is built keeping in mind all the clients across the globe. Now, some clients they use only some transactions like hire, transfer, promotion, and termination. Okay. Now some say we also have suspensions. Some say also have some data changes, additional data change. Some say we have global assignment. Now we have all these things in success factors. Now client one says I need only this. Now client two says apart from this I also need these actions. So success factors has got all these transactions in system, and we will be configuring those requirements what are required for that client. Now I am a client and I want only these actions for the system. What I as a consultant, I will be configuring the system as per the client's requirement. Maybe success factors has got all these things in system, but this particular client they don't need all these things. They just need high transfer, promotion, and termination. So I only activate or I will only enable them in the system. Now, my client says whenever I do transfer or whenever somebody promotes the employee, I need the approval process. Somebody has to approve it. So you need approvals. So you have to configure approvals. Now my
Uh,
one of the clients says, yes, go ahead, Nidhi.
okay, so Ravi, does it mean that any consultant, like any success factor implementation consultant, has to work closely with the HR because they are the one who's gonna guide them, right? That what they
Yes.
have to
All
exactly
the
work on.
yes, all the requirements, okay, that are required for the configuration, you need to work closely with HR people. You need to understand the business process. How are they operating? What are the roles that they have? What is the employee count? What all information do you need in the application? Now, success factors application in standard application, you have all the informations like of personal information, biographical information, national IDs, address, and then education details, previous experience, job information, organization information, employment information, global information. So you have all this data. Now
Okay.
every client may not need all of them. Somebody says I don't care about the address of the employees. I don't need address, or I don't need education details, or I don't need previous experiences. So you don't have to configure that. You don't have to show it to that client.
Okay.
Now you will configure the system as per the requirement of the client. What all is required for them. Now you have provision of configuring the workflows or the approval process. Now client one says while doing the transfer I need two levels of approval. The manager has to approve and the HR has to approve. Now, some other client says, no, I want 5 levels of approvals. I want manager to approve, and then once manager approves, it should go to manager's manager. Once he approves, it should go to CEO, it should go to HR manager, or it should go to finance people. Now, that's the process that they have. Now, every client's process is different. So we have to configure the system as per the client's requirement. What all the client want to use. Okay,
Okay.
the themes have to be configured. The pick
Mm-hmm.
list values have to be configured. So all this
So,
is done
mm-hmm.
by consultant. Yes, go ahead, Nidhi.
So these consultants, they have a high dependency upon the I mean HR
Yeah,
manager.
initially till you hand over the system to client. Now,
Mm-hmm.
firstly, initially you'll be sitting with the HR people, gather all the information, what all they need in the system, what are they expecting from system. Okay, you configure it in system, you test it if it is working fine or not. You ask them to test, and then if they feel that yes, everything is perfect, then they will start using that application. All the employees would be using the application. Now, these things, when you sit with your client, you get your requirement, you start developing. If something is missing in standard success factors, you have to develop it. Now, client says, I need some details. Now, I want to have, we have a library here. We are maintaining some books, and then we will be giving these books to our employees, or we have the uniforms and we'll be supplying uniforms to the employees, and we want to track that information in success factors. We don't have this no functionality of storing the information of uniforms or storing the information of books. No, this is not used for all the clients. So this can be customized. We can have the customized, we can design the system in such a way that we can also store uniforms, or you can also store library details, or you can also store the convenience, or whatever it is, client specific information. This is not part of standard success factors application, but still we customize the application to their needs. Now, client has given you some custom requirement or no standard requirement. Now you have done that, you have tested it, and you felt it is working fine, and it is okay. Now you will ask your you'll ask your HR to test the application. Now, when they look at the application, they felt that something is missing, or some requirement is not given properly. Maybe they have missed some fields. They have missed some fields to be given. So again, while testing, they have identified that yes, there are some gaps in the system, which again we have to configure, or we have to enable, or we have to customize. We'll be doing that again and handing over them. They'll test, and then once HRs or the concerned people from the client approves that yes, this is what we are expecting from the system, then we will release it for the all the employees. Now, before doing it, or before for developing, you don't release that to the employees of the organization. Now, once the customization, or once the no development is completed, we will be releasing that to all the employees of the organization. Now, to do this, we have different systems for different developments. Now, for any client, once we gather all the information from client, you don't directly do in the system where all the employees logs in and use. So you will have various instances or various systems called development, test or quality, and then pre-production and prod. Now, these are some of the instances or some of the systems that can be used by the clients. So These are different systems. Now, I'll tell you what is the use of each system. Now, as a consultant, you got the requirement, you have to do the configuration or you have to do the developments. You will do it in development system. You will test yourself, you will test whether it is working fine or not, and you move all your configurations to test system. There you will be testing the application with some employee data, or your client or your HR people would be testing the application. Now, if they feel that everything is perfect, then we will be moving this data to production. We'll be moving the configuration to production. Now, production is the place where every employee of the organization logs in. Now, if you have 10,000 employees in the organization, all the 10,000 employees will be logging into the production system, not to pre-production, not to any of these applications. Development is mainly used by consultants. Test or quality system is used by developers or the consultants and some of the HRs or some of the employees from client who does the testing. And production is the system which is used by all the employees of the organization. All the 10,000. If you have 10,000 employees, all the 10,000 employees will be logging into your production system. That means whatever whatever the complete configurations, okay, the actual configurations are done in production system. Now here you can configure anything. In development, you can configure anything. But if you are moving only those configurations which are required for your client to test and production, they'll be using only those things. Employees will be using only those things. And you will also have sometimes, not all the clients, some clients, they may also use pre-production system. Why do they use pre-production system? To be on safer side or to be of production, I got an issue. Now, pre-production would be the replication of production. Whatever you have in production, you'll have the same thing in pre-production as well. Why? Because if you are facing some issue in production, you cannot test or you cannot analyze the system in production because it has got all the real-time data. It has got all the real-time data, maybe all the hires. Now, today I've hired 10 employees, tomorrow I'm hiring 5 employees, and day after tomorrow I'm hiring 10 employees, 15 employees. So all this data you'll have in production, not in pre-production or any other system. Now, if you if you see some issue in production, to replicate it, for which employee you got an issue, what exactly is that? Are you getting the same issue in pre-production also? You analyze it. Now, if it is the configuration issue, you have to fix the configuration or you have to change the configuration. So you will be doing it in development. Again, test it in test system and then move it to production. Any new enhancements or any fixes you will not directly do in production. You will be doing it one of these instance. We call it instance or we call it system or we call success factor. The terminology that we use is dev instance, quality instance or a test instance, pre-production instance and production instance. Call it we call them as instances. So if client gives you some requirement, you will be doing it in development because you don't know whether it is correct or not. You cannot directly configure in production. Now, when client sees or when HR sees it, he or she may say that, no, this is not what we have expected. The process is different. So you have to correct it. So you do it in development. HR tests it. And then if they feel that, yes, this is what we expect and this is what is our process. Now, client says in transfer, we have 4 levels of approval. First level manager, second level managers manager, third level is HR, and fourth level is some director or vice president. Now, this somebody has to test it, and somebody has to approve it. So HR does some scenarios like what happens when an employee is transferred. Okay, it is triggering 4 levels of approval. Now, what if manager doesn't have no manager's manager, only one level of manager? Let's say one employee has got only one level of manager. There's no second level manager. So in that case, you should get only 3 approvals because the first step is manager, second step is manager's manager. But we don't have second step. It should directly go to the third step. So HR will test all these things. Okay. Now they feel that yes, this is what is this is what we are expecting from system, and they say yes, approve, send it to production. Now we'll be moving that configuration to production system where the actual process is done. The testing is done and it is only the development. So this is called landscape, system landscape. What are the systems that client uses? Now some says I just need, some client says I want only development, I want only test and production. I need 3 systems or 3 instances. So some client says I need development, I need quality, I need test, I need pre-production, I need production, maybe 5 instances. Other client says I need 4 instances: dev, test or quality, pre-prod, and prod. Now for each of these instance, system occupies some space in server, so they have to pay for these instances. Client has to pay for these instances, all the instances that they use. We may not have all the employees' data in test system, maybe some data. Here I have 10,000 employees, but maybe I have only 1,000 employees data here just for testing. Pre-prod will have all the data, same as your production. So it depends upon client to client what all instances they want to have. But minimum of 3 is required: development, your quality or test, and then production. Now some client says, no, I want some additional instances, like I want to see some projects. Now development, whatever developments are done for this client or whatever the developments that are to be moved to production are done in development. Some client says, no, I want to have one more instance called projects or project dev, where I want to see, okay, if I have to use some feature in success factors. Now, firstly, I want to see how it looks or how it can be used, whether it is useful for my employees or not. So so you will be configuring that in the project system and then show it to client. Now, after watching it or after looking at a feature, client may say that no, we may not need this application or we may not need this feature to our employees. You will not do that in the system. So, or if client feels, yes, this looks fine and we want to implement this for our employees. So you go ahead and do it in production. You go ahead and do the actual development. So again, you will do that in development system, show it to client. Okay. So this is what we have done in project system. And as per the discussions, we have modified some change or modified or configured as per your needs. So you'll show it to them in test system and they feel that yes, we want it to be used by employees, so we'll move it to production system. This is called the landscape. What all instances are to be used by your client? Now every client that you work with will use a different set of landscape. So you should know what are the instances that are configured for that client. Now you can be an implementation consultant or a support consultant. Okay. When you work with the client, you should know, the first thing that you should know is the landscape, how the systems are set up, how many instances are being used by system by the client. So If you're doing a new enhancement or if you're doing a new customization, where you have to do? You have to do in development system, you have to do it directly in production. Now, if client has identified some issues in production system, okay, now they'll report that issue. Now, to fix that issue, you don't directly do it in production system. You have to check the impact on the system. You're doing some configuration change. You're
10 minutes.
changing system configuration. Okay, so what is the impact of that change on the system? Other features. What is the impact on the other? So you need to check that, and then once everything is looks fine, then you can move it to production system for all the employees to use. Got it? Landscape. Nidhi, is that clear?
Yes, it is almost clear, but I'm sorry, I have little distractions today.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll stop it here and we'll continue tomorrow with some other topics. Okay.
Yeah,
In
okay.
we'll be looking at all these things in detail. Okay, how a client uses the system, how these instances are set up for the client. How will you know what all instances are there? Now, each system, each instance, you'll have a login. Okay, when you log into development, you see, no, you see only some of the developments, or a different way. The same application, but in a different way. Or when you log into test or quality instance, you'll see only some of the employees. Whereas when you log into production system, you'll see the real-time data. You don't do any configuration or any changes in testing in production. No, because that's the real-time system. All the employees are using that system. So you cannot test. You cannot test the transfer process or promotion process for any employee in production system. You do that in testing in production system. Okay, we'll see more about these instances and landscape in the coming classes.
Ravi, I need a implementation handbook
Yes,
and
I'll share that. We'll discuss that maybe tomorrow.
also the workbook. If you sample workbook, if you have.
Yes, I'll share that with you.
And whatever we have done today,
Okay, okay.
so can we, I mean, would be able to revise it somewhere, or is there a
Yes,
way I can revisit it?
yeah. This session is being recorded, and I'll share you the recording.
Okay,
So
okay, yeah, yes,
anytime.
because I might have some distraction sometimes. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. We'll stop it here and we'll continue tomorrow.
So, we're meeting same time tomorrow.
Yes.
What I was thinking, Ravi, is that I will share my availability to you and Karan. So if we wanna do
This conference will now be recorded.